Day 28. Oh, it's going fast. Okay, sorry for the informal video. I've been sitting here contemplating and really trying to gather my thoughts. And here's where I'm going to start. We know that Christ fulfilled the law of Moses, and he no longer required the shedding of blood, animal sacrifices, burnt offerings. All that was done away with. And he tells us in 3 Nephi chapter 9, verse 20, he says, "And ye shall offer up a sacrifice unto me, a broken heart and a contrite spirit. And whoso cometh unto me with a broken heart and a contrite spirit, him will I baptize with fire and with the Holy Ghost." I'm going to stop there. So the word contrite has rolled around in my brain for about the last week. And I finally looked up the definition of contrite because I thought, okay, what does contrite really mean? And I'm getting this definition of remorseful, feeling guilt, feeling shame, and it just didn't sit right with me. I thought, I don't know. Call me stubborn. So I looked up the Hebrew definition of contrite. You want to know what it means? Crushed. A crushed spirit. Ah, there. Now, does that fit with a broken heart? Yeah, that fits. A crushed spirit and a broken heart. That's what the Lord requires for sacrifice. Okay, so here's the other thought I have. When we get married, it's on an altar. You kneel across an altar. Why an altar? What is being placed on that altar? You're in effect placing your whole self, and your spouse is placing their whole self on the altar of sacrifice. You're willing to sacrifice your whole self for the will of the Lord. Now, whether or not we actually do that, I don't know. But it's interesting for me to think about our broken heart and our contrite spirit. The Lord uses the broken and the crushed because there's no walls. There's no walls. And the only place you have to turn is God. And he tells us in Ether, and he tells us in Jacob. In Jacob chapter 4, these are some of my very favorite verses. Jacob chapter 4, verse 7. The whole first several verses are really good. Verse 7, "Nevertheless the Lord showeth us our weakness, that we may know that it is by his grace and his great condescension unto the children of men that we have power to do these things." And in Ether, the Lord gives us weakness that they may become strengths. If we're not broken and we're not crushed, if we don't have weakness, humility, coming to know that He is everything. Our whole trust has to be in Him. How's He going to work with us? He still does, which is really cool. He still does. But I think if we're wanting to have that continual grace for grace and grace to grace, we need to be broken and crushed. Anyway, random thoughts. Maybe one of these days they'll sink in and solidify for me. So, hope you have a good night.